Good morning, fellow orchid lovers. It's Danielle here with the promised video where I grow my orchids. One of my new babies is just starting to pop open, so I wanted to share that with you. When they do go into full bloom, I will also update you and show you what they look like. So someone had asked me where it is that I grow my orchids, and since I don't have a grow room, I pretty much have to just take advantage of whatever light is available. Fortunately, I do have several windows that get some really good light, and I try to take advantage of that as much as I can. So this is an east-facing window, gets morning light, and even after noon when the sun is above my house, it still gets very bright light. It's no longer direct light, but it's very bright. So I have cattleyas up there, I have one of my Rancostylis up there, I have my Vanda down here, some more cattleyas, and then my new orchids I have back here, so they can benefit from light, but they're not too close to the glass because they're a little more sensitive to light than the higher light orchids. So that's one of the spots I grow my orchids, and I'm just going to go through a gate here. And this is the other window that faces east. So I have two Phalaenopsis here. As you can see, they do get some light, but they're not really close to the glass, and they're kind of down below. So they've been there for a couple of weeks, and there's no sunburn or any cell damage on the leaves, so I know they're not getting too much sun. I have my Brassavola nodosa there. I have a small piece of a cattleya that I'm trying to save. I have a Dendrobium. Up in the higher part of the window, I've kind of layered my orchids to try to take advantage of as much light as possible, but also like my Shari Baby, my Wildcat, they like sun, but they don't really like a lot of direct sun. I think, you know, the morning sun is a little too intense for them, so they're further back on the shelf so that they get the light, but they're a little bit shaded. I moved my Tolumnias up there this week, actually. They were down on this shelf, but because there's no leaves on the trees, this gets a lot of light in the morning. And they were starting to show signs that they were getting too much light. So I moved them up here behind the other orchids so that they would still get a lot of bright light, but no direct light for a little while, to see if I can, you know, better gauge where they have to be. So I have my other Dendrobium up there. I have my Shelob Tolkien up there. So if you have the situation where you're growing on your windowsills, you can do this layered effect where the higher light orchids can go closer to the glass, and then the orchids that don't require as high of a light level, you can kind of pull away, and they'll still get some pretty good light, but they'll be shaded and they won't get any damage from the sun. Sorry about that. Right before I made this video, I took a swallow of coffee and it went down the wrong pipe, and whew, that was fun. Okay, so that's them. Then I have, this is the window that I was growing my Phalaenopsis in last summer. This is a north facing window. So I heard that Phalaenopsis don't really like direct light, and so I thought that this was the perfect place to put them, because although it's bright all day long, there's no direct light, except at the very end of the day, the corner over here does get some direct sun. I've since changed where my Phalaenopsis grow, with the exception of these, because they're just too big to put on my Phalaenopsis shelf. But currently I'm growing my Vanilla over here because they don't really like direct sunlight. I found that out the hard way. I have one of my Miltoniopsis over here, my Miltonia, my Oncidium Twinkle, my Sweet Sugar. So they're all over in this window. And this might not be the best light for some of them, but my Miltonia and my Miltoniopsis have really loved this spot. I typically kill that type of orchid, and they're alive, and they've been alive for months, so I'm thinking that they're pretty happy. In my bathroom, I have 4 more orchids. I have a Cattleya. I have 2 Cattleyas. I have my Neophoenicia and I have my new Dendrobium. Again, this is an east-facing window, so they get a lot of light in the morning, and then they get bright but indirect light in the afternoon. So we'll back out. Hopefully I won't bump into anything. Okay. And I'm sorry about the condition of my house, but I'm currently packing for a camping trip. We're leaving this weekend, so... But the light was finally nice, so I figured this is a good opportunity to show you where I grow. This is my new Miltoniopsis. Again, they don't really like a lot of light. They like bright light, but not a lot of light, so I have her directly across from my east-facing window. And first thing in the morning, the sun comes right in and like lights her up. So she does get, you know, some light, but then it, you know, it doesn't last very long, so they seem to like that. I have my Oncidium Saiku Marguerite here. I have a few more of my Tolumnias that have a little bit worse sun damage than the other ones over here. They're pretty dehydrated, so I'm trying to keep them away from the sun until I hydrate them a little bit. This is my Phalaenopsis that keeps, she's the sequential bloomer, the one that keeps getting more buds. This is where she lives, so this seems like the appropriate amount of light for her. And then the main spot that I grow my orchids is in my living room. Now I'm going to be stepping over puppies, so bear with me. If the camera gets a little jerky, it's because I don't want to step on anyone. So this is where I have most of my Cattleyas. This is a west-facing window, and the sun, when it's above the house at noon, the light starts coming in this window. And then it goes that way and the light comes in this window. So from 12 o'clock on, this window gets very, very strong light. It's even more strong now because there's no leaves on the trees. So I actually did burn a few of my Cattleya leaves because there are some Cattleyas that like strong light, and then there's other Cattleyas that don't. So you really have to, you know, before you put a Cattleya in really bright light, find out what its growing needs are, because you can burn their leaves if you put them too close to the glass. So the sun-loving orchids, the sun-loving Cattleyas are back there. There's also a Maxillaria tenuifolia over there. I do have a few Phalaenopsis here, but they're like really far away from the window, and they only get a little bit of direct sun as the sun is setting. So it's not strong sun. So I have one there and I have one there. And then down here is my Phalaenopsis shelf. This gets very bright light, but there is a sheer curtain and it's doubled. So it cuts down on how much light they get. So it's very bright, but it's not direct. I have a few Cattleyas over here that can benefit from the sun, and I do have the shade, the curtain down a little further over here. And the Phalaenopsis seem to love the brighter light. Like I said, I was growing them in that north-facing window last year, and they did well, but I wouldn't say that it was outstanding. And ever since I moved them to this brighter light, you know, the spikes are branching, they're getting new leaves, they're getting new roots, new spikes are coming, so I would say that they like the upgrade. Yeah, so that's where I grow my orchids. Someone had asked, and I think that a lot of us do grow in our homes. So we do have to come up with solutions for our growing needs, especially as our collections grow, because we don't have control over ourselves and we keep buying orchids, which is something I'm guilty of. I did do a grow light in, I did do a grow light in the winter, and I didn't like the results. This orchid was a fair distance away and it burned. So I don't know if I just bought a really powerful grow light and it was just too much for, you know, some of the orchids, but I didn't love it. I'm not going to do it again next year. I wanted to pull them out of this window because it gets very cold in the winter, but I just insulated it and it did wonders because there's a window seat underneath and it wasn't insulated. So I insulated it and it doesn't get as cold in this window. So that's good. So anyways, that's my growing space. I'm running out of windows, as you can see. So that's going to be a problem because like everyone else, this has grown into a little bit of an addiction. And actually, I told you all that I bought this Miltoniopsis to replace my Andrea West that died, and I hadn't been able to find the Andrea West, and now all of a sudden she's available. So I might be placing another order soon because I just loved that Miltoniopsis. So I hope that answers that question. If you have any additional questions, let me know. Like I said, you know, you can do the layering effects to take full advantage of your grow space. I did have to install some deeper shelves, but you know, you just cut a piece of plywood. And yeah, I mean, you can make it prettier than I did, but I kind of just didn't care. So I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your spring, and I will talk to you all next time.